Hi, Dr. O'Brien here at USC Upstate. I'm going to make you a really short video that will help you do the first paper. What is gender? I've made a sway presentation to keep me on task while I explain this to you. And I want this to move up a little bit. Sorry. So, what is gender? You might remember from language that different types of animals have gendered names and different words have genders. Cows, bulls, witches, warlock, all of that stuff. Even before women give birth nowadays, everyone wants to know, is it a boy or is it a girl? And these pictures are ultrasound pictures from my baby's 5 months gestation. But if the ultrasound technician had asked me whether I wanted to know their gender, I would have said, and I possibly did say, they might not figure that out till puberty. I'll let them decide. Because I'm a feminist and view the world in a women and gender studies perspective, or through a feminist lens, I think gender is very different from biological sex. So does Judith Lorber, Barry Thorne, and practically everyone else that we'll read about this semester. Of course, that didn't stop the nurses from putting pink hats on my baby girls, and it didn't stop me from plopping this pink rose into the picture either. I gave them feminine names, and who can resist the super cute baby girl clothes? Now they've broken me down because I wear pink all the time too. Enough almost of the pictures of my babies, and more about your paper. The purpose of this paper is for you to consider whether this course has encouraged you to view gender differently. For example, you might have believed that gender and sex are interchangeable terms, or that there are only two sexes or only two genders. You might think that once you have a gender, you keep that gender. But the debate with my twins over whether this King James shirt is for boys or for girls rages on, and the pink-loving twin refuses to wear hers. The other one's gender rules are not as rigid, but she's still a cowgirl right here in this picture. But enough of that. What I want you to think about is, how can you choose 3 or 4 quotes from the readings thus far that helped you to understand the varied definitions of gender? And how can you redefine gender based on this class? Here is Judith Lorber, who defines gender really extensively. And here are lots of notes that I put in Blackboard in which Judith Lorber talks about the different kinds of gender roles. Basically, the idea that gender is a social institution tells us that in society we create gender. You aren't born a woman or a girl, you become one. I didn't paint my girls' room pink before they were born, but of course one of them wants me to paint her room pink now. And we have some different ideas here. In our Katie Couric video, another source that you can use, we learn about intersex and transgender people. And in that rather long article, The Medical Construction of Gender, we find out how doctors manage the cases of infants who are born without a clear gender and even without a clear biological sex. This is an example of a feminist scholar because Suzanne Kessler wrote this peer-reviewed essay based on research, both of her own and from various other sources, and published it in a journal called Signs. So there's one kind of interesting passage that I want to point out. There have always been intersex people. This is part of the spectrum of sexes that exist in human diversity and human beings. So Kessler explains her study and defines some terms about intersex people. And if you scroll through this, she gets to a point where doctors struggle to tell parents whether their child is a boy or a girl, and the fact that that can be really traumatic for most parents. The doctors argue that changing a diaper can be traumatic if your baby has ambiguous genitalia or if their genitalia does not look like what you think your baby is. So prematurely describing a baby's gender can be problematic. It's not black and white. And somewhere in here, I can't find it at the moment, is the issue of saying to a parent, I'm not sure yet if your baby's a boy or a girl, and how they might react to that. So I'm going on for too long here, but the point is that I want you to define and talk about gender using sources from our experts, but also in terms of, if you wish, your own experience and most definitely what you've learned this semester. Have a great day.